My friends, hello, how are you? What have we got on the go here? Do we have a high which is sort of bearishly divergent on this, which is the 4-hour time frame up there compared to our previous one, which could ultimately turn out to be some sort of little head and shoulders here, should we not see prices manage to make their way back up above the 36,000 area and perhaps go up towards 37,000 or so, and then thereafter beyond 38 and onto the 40? Yes, we could look at that, and a measured move off the back of that wouldn't be particularly hard to calculate. We could just look at that and say it could be maybe take us down to the 50% Fibonacci retracement area. Actually, that's not accurate. There we go. And the 50% Fibonacci retracement area at 31,000 and 31,440. Of course, that could also not fully play out, and then you're asking different sorts of questions about things. The 382 on this one coming in here would be that where that could move. That's completely wrong. Sorry, actually, what am I talking about? Rewind. Sorry, rewinding that. Okay, cool. I wouldn't edit something out if I did it wrong. That would be silly. I'd have to have measured this from the neckline. I don't know why I didn't before. I only just realized there now. Sorry. So where would we call the neckline on this? And I think maybe you could call it that 382 anyway, in which case, the sort of the Bulkowski style one would take you down to that golden pocket at 29k, and the full measured move could see you come down to the 28k area, which we've spoken about so many times. It's where that 236 is, back all the way over yonder, and that would be like, the sort of the greedy aspect of that measured move if we were to get a sort of continuation towards the top side thereafter. So if you see a pullback, that's where it could be going over to. Why am I talking about it in such a way? Well, I'm going to be taking the weekend off again, because that's what I do on the channel these days. And I could come back over Saturday or Sunday. I do like to do an episode on the weekend, so I think I maybe will this weekend, but I'm not making any guarantees. And in which case, I wanted to get a sort of full story out there for us. Now, what do we also like to do then when we're looking at? That's kind of like the way I go back to mid sentence there. From what I was talking about before, it's kind of like I was doing a little sort of advert style break or whatever. But anyway, what we also like to talk about on the channel is how we've gone up towards this. If we go up towards our sort of shoulder line and then beyond, how you could be talking about a failed pattern. And I'm not going to use put too much weight in terms of this measuring stick off the back of this one, but we could be looking up towards that 41,500 area thereafter if we were to just kind of summarize, you could say, the price action between these two highs and these two most recent lows in it with this parallel channel, which you can see lines up perfectly with the top of that measured move if we were to do that coming from where the shoulder is there. I guess that's probably why I messed it up the first time around. Cool, isn't it cool? Cool enough to hit the subscribe button? I would say so you should do that. Cool. Also, you can tweet and you can join the Discord and you can right, cool. So that's what's going on here. We have a head and shoulders on the RSI over there as well during this period of time that's already on the charts. If we did see a head and shoulders play out or not play out, quite often we see them kind of show up on the charts beforehand on the RSI and the stochastics. As you can see there, it's kind of apparent across all of the oscillators down below. You see those sorts of things happen. And what that kind of ties in with is because this head to the left of the shoulder would then match up with the sort of the bearish divergence at the top end of this thing. And there you go. Like, that's nice, isn't it? Nice little set of tips for you when look at these things. They don't really appear in the textbooks, those sorts of tips. They come with experience. Watching this channel will help you get your own experience a little bit quicker than maybe you otherwise would. And you can share it with your friends. youtube.com/Rocky Outcrop, all one word. Cool, isn't it? Pretty cool. Well, if we were to go to so we've kind of covered the top and lower sides there. Breakouts beyond this area could be of the ET calling home extraterrestrial variety. And what we'll do here, instead of kind of just going directly to stay in the 1618, is we'll get the settings up for this Fibonacci. We'll just have to do it completely manually. And we'll actually, no, tell you what, cancel that. We'll just say, yeah, cool. If we move up beyond this channel, there we could be looking as high as the 1618 where you see it coming in at 51k. That would be superb-tastic. But of course, before then, you've got 47k as a target as well. And actually, you've got the sort of the 1-2 area in around there at sort of 45k as well. Should I just have it on the charts? I should just have it on the charts. What will we nick for it? We'll nick this one because we'll just change it to 1 instead. And that's pretty much what we're looking at. So then you'd have that 45k, like I was kind of saying, and various other ones beyond. If we were to go beyond that section, we don't need to get too sort of carried away in terms of looking at any of that. In the meantime, we've already looked at the sort of the downward side targets based off of the most recent Fibonacci there on this one. But if I just dive over to another chart where it's less noisy, so I can take another sort of Fibonacci doodah off of this. Thanks very much for tuning in, by the way. I always do appreciate it. If we go from our previous high, which we had over there on the 16th of July, and down to the low, I do believe was over here. I do believe on the 2nd of August, before we carried on towards the top side, people were getting a bit dubious about this thing's ability to pump in around that time, and then they missed out. What was that taking us up to? The 2618, almost in there. It's bang on with this one. So in terms of these sorts of broad outline targets, and we talked about these in terms of Chainlink and whatever else recently, I'll just quickly show you, because people like to talk about how we could maybe follow in the footsteps of Chainlink. And you can see, people, I presume me, I was the one that started that chat. I'm taking credit for it. You can send your disputes about that to me in the post if you like. But I'm taking credit for it. So you can see there this sort of comparison that you could be making, that we could be talking about all these sorts of things in a more or less similar fashion, could take us up towards these higher targets thereafter, which would be $5 and $5.45. That would be interesting. And as well, that would tie in close enough with all we talked about in terms of the Bitcoin pricing. Should we see Bitcoin either stay static in around these areas, or indeed, if Bitcoin were to get a pullback, that would increase the push on rocket up your arse nature of that upward side price action, if that were to be the case. So let's hope, in a sense, for that to happen with positive price action. Now, I know that we've had pullbacks today. I've not really looked at anything in the low term time frames. I'm not necessarily giving you targets for perhaps over the weekend necessarily. I think you could say that I have actually. A lot of noise in here. That's too much noise. Let's move somewhere else. Let's just do this. Let's just skip away off. That's the Bitcoin chart, but still, let's go to something that's cleaner. Oh, that's cleaner. So in terms of the short term, we're looking to overtake the 21 EMA that comes in at 415. These numbers won't shock you too much that we're talking about. We want to see the prices stay above 370. Of course, where we also, these numbers again aren't going to shock you. I'm actually looking here at the 144 EMA, where we've had it come down and be tested off of a couple of times already in terms of this bull trend. It's been a while. We've been waiting for this to get sort of a purpose at times, this moving average. So yeah, at 392, looking up the way, where do these things come in at? Oh, the 21 above our heads there at 415, and the 55 operating as support currently at $4. You could blame it on the numbers, you could blame it on the EMAs, you could blame it on Father Christmas. It's all good. You do what you like. Is this? It is bearishly divergent at the top here, but we've come in here and we've managed to. We've not really done anything so far, I'd say, actually. So yeah, we're looking between those numbers that I was talking about before. We're going up to the 4-hour time frame. 21 EMA is at 4 and 8, and we're at 4 and 405 at the minute. So. But anyway, that's obviously just in the middle of our targets. 21 on the daily time frame then is where things going to get interesting again. And we have seen the prices come down and test that 350 zone. That's going to have to be considered to be sort of our main sort of hurdle at the minute. And if I just kind of then spec out a different sort of scenario for us in terms of the next wee while, then you could be thinking, how is this shaping up? Have we got, perhaps, does this happen? If this happens and we see the prices come down to that 370 target to fill this out, then find support and move up the way and not actually achieve anything above 427 cents at $4.30, then you maybe we would fill in at the symmetrical triangle there. That might be what you might want to have. That might be your magic sprinkling of dust there on your technical analysis for you if you need it. Overall, we've been doing very well, and we've managed to come up here by and large without the divergence which you could be scared of if you were thinking that we're going to just kind of completely tank it all over again. There are little kind of things to be aware of. Are we going to remain above the moving average here on the daily time frame against the RSI? Are we going to actually see the DIM positive move back above the ADX line and towards the top side, actually trend up there, or will we find it operate as a sort of a trend line for us in terms of it doesn't operate like this. It's not how I look at it, but will we see it kind of just operating below the pricing or above the pricing kind of as support or resistance for us over the next wee while, moving up towards potentially say this 40 area on the daily time frame. And if we did that, then you're talking about big moves. Like then you're talking about these things up here and people being very happy Tezonians out there in the world. Do we want to look at this? Can't really be bothered. Oh, hello. Ethereum pushed on up the way. Well, what have we got here? Came down to the 21 EMA on the daily time frame at 95 and a wee bit beyond actually, and we're finding it kind of giving us a bit of resistance there currently. It's obviously moved down along with the pricing, and we're looking at about that 95 area being for us of importance to move above, where we've actually got this sort of the opening of this candle today, or else we're looking down towards our next targets towards the downside. These levels of resistance have been quite good. We came up, we tested the 50, and then actually went on and got close enough, call that close enough to the 200 simple moving average there, to the point where, if you were trading between this thing, then that's us testing the death cross on the daily time frame in the way that we so often talk about. It happens on this channel. We talk about it all the time. That's the sort of textbook. And then we've come back down the way thereafter, finding our feet in and around this area. Could see some sort of positive things kind of happen. As you can tell at the minute by looking, because you've got super duper vision, this is actually trending slightly towards the top side, the 200 EMA. We still have this positive price action up above us on average, where there's been more candles here than, overall it's not too bad. It's not too trending too much down the way, whereas the 50 is going back the way. So kind of just taking a measuring stick and going back 50 bars, so you can see what's calculating the 50 is that we've had this price action for the 50, which is actually kind of leading towards it going towards the downside, spreading out a bit more as well. But then on the 200 aspect of things, going back 200 bars, then you're looking at such a significant period of price action up above that zone here, like that it's kind of going to remain more or less up in that zone. So we might find this 50 interaction with the 50 simple moving average to be of particular note over the next wee while when it comes to this particular pairing. And of course, what will we see overall? Because as we look at this 24-hour time frame, we can see that we had this high here coming in after this downward sort of trend here. We broke up the way, but we only came in as high as previous area of inflection before moving down the way, and this continuing the downward trend, which enables us to look between this area here and this area here in terms of for looking for divergence. And we can clearly see across all of the oscillators down below, apart from the MACD, that we actually had bullish divergence on the go, and then moved towards the top side thereafter, having come in and set in this period here, which this high so far, which could conceivably become a part of a trend which takes us out past this zone, where we eventually look towards this area before breaking up strongly against this coin. That could be an idea that happens in the future. There's my trading idea for today, or whatever, all that good stuff. And I've been Rocky Outcrop, youtube.com/Rocky Outcrop, and you should definitely share it with your friends. It's definitely the #1 trading channel on YouTube, where all the geniuses are actually showing up recently saying, hey, this is the place to be. I've got endorsements from such great people as the Queen of England herself and the Pope in Rome. They've both said I'm a hella guy and that you ought to subscribe. If you don't believe me, you can ask them. So there you go. Definitely share this video with your friends because they'd love it. youtube.com/Rocky Outcrop. You can just hit the share button and do it on Facebook or Twitter or whatever. Bye bye.